What's up, everybody? Welcome to Omnic Lab, episode 117. This week, we're going to be doing a little bit different, as per usual. The last couple weeks, we've been doing something a little bit different almost every week. But this week, we had some normal scheduling things that we've been trying to work out, and we have some good news and we have some bad news. So the good news is we've booked 2 guests for this month. The bad news is one of them that we had lined up, we had to basically move it around. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to have more of a relaxed show. We're going to talk about World Cup. We're going to talk a little bit about the expansion teams in Overwatch League, even though that's not normally our forte, with strategy. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about just like who we've booked and how and when they're coming, so you guys can see them down the pipe and what you can do with them. And in relationship to that, we can just talk about Overwatch and the new season and kind of the lull in the cycle right now and what Andres and I are doing personally. So Andres, welcome back. It's another week.
Another week, another hour. It's been a very busy week for me, but I'm always glad to make some time for Overwatch and the podcast. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. There's been lots of stuff going on for both of us. You want to just dive into that real quick, or do you want to get through announcements after?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive into it a little bit.
Okay, so this week for me has been extremely slow at work in particular, but has still been busy because during that work time I've been working on scheduling. And if anybody of you guys know, I live in Japan, so I have to schedule about 13 hours ahead of Eastern time. So I'm trying to get, the evening time when streamers are not streaming, if they're not streaming, trying to get in their DM box and talk to them and work through things that way. So it's been really good for planning, as we're going to get into here. But we also are preparing for what's called a bunkatsai, or a cultural festival that is extremely common in schools here.
Oh, nice.
And basically, it's kind of like a big amalgamation. Basically, every class in the school, they have trimesters, and trimesters means they also have 3 grades. So it's like sophomores, juniors, and seniors instead of freshmen. So it's just, Ichinensei or first year, second year, third year is kind of the language there. And the culture festival is like each of them runs some kind of booth. So our school set it up so that all of the first years, we have 3 classes of first years. They're doing game booths. We have the other ones doing food booths. Some of them have already sold out stuff. They have to buy tickets. You can do stuff like that way. They have like a talent show.
Oh, cool.
Mixed with like a dance competition. And then they're doing all kinds of stuff. I haven't even gotten the full schedule yet, but there's lots of stuff going on.
Sounds like a good time.
They've been preparing all week, and they've been working really hard. And tomorrow is kind of like, I actually have to work Saturday this week, which is great because I get Monday off. So it's just a little bit of flip-flop schedule. But what have you been up to, Andres?
Mostly school, trying to make some time for the girlfriend here and there, and just working, doing all this other stuff. I gotta give it to you though. Rob was busy trying to connect with people and making some connections for the show. So we've booked 2 awesome guests for this month. One of them fell through. We were hoping to do it today, but unfortunately we had to move things around for his schedule. And so you just have us today. But Rob did manage to book our friend Jinx for September the 14th. He's going to be coming in to talk about Brigitte, one of the most requested heroes for a while. A lot of people have been wanting us to do a going deep on Brigitte. She's a very polarizing hero, and we can't wait to dive into that one. Alrighty, and we also have our friend CarQ returning to the show. We had him for a map guide a few episodes ago. He was a great guest, and I can't wait to have him back. He'll be coming on September 21st to talk about Anna, We had our going deep on Anna a long, long time ago, and it's time to revisit her.
And the best part about this is that both of these guests will have different time slots. So when we have Jinx on, Jinx is going to be doing an evening slot on Friday night on the 14th. 9:30 p.m. Eastern is when we've booked the time slot. That doesn't mean that the show starts necessarily then, because we have a lot of back end things. That's our meeting time. And sometimes we meet a little earlier depending on if the guests are comfortable going faster, but we leave a little bit of leeway. So basically that means we have about half an hour before the show sometimes starts. Other times it'll start right at that time. In addition, CarQ is wonderful and for my schedule in that we can plan a Friday night for me, which means Friday morning for all y'all in the States. So we're going to do a 9:30 a.m. call time for that week on the 21st. We are also trying to book a mystery guest that I am keeping secret right now because I actually haven't reached out to him yet. But I've been working with some friends on getting this other person in. Very interested and had a couple things going right that way, but we're trying to see on the back end if we're going to want to do a map guide and if we can get somebody else in for a map guide and get this gentleman on later on for additional hero guide, because we don't want to overload you guys with like hero guide, hero guide, hero guide back to back to back. If we
I'm
get
sure
news
some of
cycle or
you
something
wouldn't
like
mind
that.
though.
Yeah, so those of you out there that are listening to the podcast, like we've heard or gotten reports from people listen to 80 episodes in a month or something crazy. But y'all nuts. Okay. But let's get through a couple more announcements. So first and foremost, we got our sponsor as per usual. My man, the myth, the legend, Top Score Solutions, Ben, aka I Need Peeling, doing the same thing with the esports field. He's giving us a new update with Top Score Solutions. So be on the lookout for topscoresolutions.com and twitter.com slash topscores esports. These are the places you're going to want to follow to see the updates. I think they're rebranding a little bit with kind of their focus, and we'll keep you posted when he gives us some new print. But that's all for now. Addition, we have Omnic Meta as our official sponsor, or our official partner, sorry. And I'm really excited because Switch was talking to us this week about his plans for BlizzCon, and he's hoping that he doesn't have to take a 8-hour nap like he had to do last year because he got super sick right before BlizzCon. Poor guy. And I'm looking forward to hang out more with him. I got a sweet picture of the Dark Moon Fair with him last year, and some of our admin. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm already been talking with Bob and Mel and Andres about our room situation, and I didn't realize how good our prices were until today, and they're really good for
Yeah,
our hotel.
For BlizzCon standards, yeah, we got a good deal.
Yeah, we really did. And so they're working on some stuff there. Andres and I are actually prepping for something that we can't talk about yet on Thursday, which is really exciting. But if you guys are around and you're going to BlizzCon, please try to come Thursday. We'll try. We're cooking up something cool. So
We'll
just make
definitely
sure you're there.
be meeting on Thursday before everything starts, and there'll be events happening. So if you're around the day earlier, make sure to hit us up and meet up with us.
Absolutely. Now, for those of you wondering how the game night went, we had a fairly small size game night, believe it or not. I believe this is kind of the back to school, end of summer type of thing because this is the end of August. I was not there for most of this. I was there for a good portion of it, but not like the entire, early shift and late shift like I normally am because I had lots of stuff going on that previous weekend with regards to setting my wife up with a new phone line. So we're still in the process there. But Anders, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience there and game night this last week?
Yeah, it was a more intimate game night, and by intimate, I still mean like two full lobbies going on of games pretty much the
Yeah,
whole night.
two or three.
Yeah, so but it was really nice, like always. I really enjoy playing with everyone, seeing new and old people. We actually had a lot of new names in this game night, which makes me really happy seeing new people come in, and you always see an influx of players just for the game night. So that's always nice. And just playing with other people. I hadn't been playing too much Team Overwatch lately, especially after starting school. A lot of my time has been dedicated to that, so it's always nice to go back and play with coordinated
Sure.
teams, do some cool strategies.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy some of the game nights because you can kind of just do something really, really outside of your sphere and not really
Yeah.
feel any pressure.
I got to play
It's
Torbjorn
fun.
for the first time in like 8 months. It was
Nice,
nice.
nice. That's always good. It's always good. I actually played more support in a game night than I played in a long time this time around. Usually, it ends up being, everybody plays what they want to play,
Hmm.
and most of the support mains switch it up, and other people are like, "Oh, I can play support. I normally play tank or DPS players." People like this, especially the more skilled players, and Diamond Master and GM are trying to make the games balanced, so they're just playing something off of their normal, which is nice for those of the players that want to play something that they want to practice well. So that's good.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to our friend Jay Lee, who came in and schooled everyone with his Ana. Everyone was so impressed at his Ana play, and he's been one of the guys we've been playing with on our regular
Mm-hmm.
like six stack for comp.
Yeah.
And man, it's amazing having him in your team. You just feel like you get heals all the time, and then he just leaps everyone. He gets the sickest sleep darts out there. So shout out to Jay Lee. You made everyone's game night a little harder, except if they were on
Yeah,
your
this is
team.
the same guy who's been like anytime I play Overwatch, I'm playing with Jay Lee, so I don't get to play Ana.
He claimed that
Needless to
spot.
say, because he claims it. But the good news is I get to play around with a really good Ana, and that means that if I'm playing in a different support role, I can get a good idea of where I need to be and how I need to be, positioning and helping him out, making things easier on him. And on top of that, I get some Ana tips here and there, and I've been training with our support player for the team I'm coaching now and helping out with, and we did a lot of some Ana drills together and tried to pick up some things on learning the combo, and if we're in a 1v1 situation, making sure that they hit me, and if they do hit me, then how do you kill me every single time consistently. So those are some really cool things that we were practicing on, and sleep dart practice and all that. So it's been really, really interesting. I definitely want to find a lot of the stuff that I've learned in the back end for putting in hours on, Mercy and Ana. I need to find those same tools for the other supports I want to play really well. So if I want to pick Zen back up, I had a really good couple games with Zen during the game night, but I swear every time I play Zen, it's just like I know I'm playing him well right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm actually playing him properly. It just means that the frags are hitting. So,
Yeah, sound like me when I go
uh,
on Zen.
yeah, Jonik. Well, let's talk about World Cup. This is something that we really wanted to talk about because Andres and I had our first esports experience at World Cup, and it was fantastic experience. And so we wanted to kind of break down what's going on first. So right now they're going through group stages, and it's
Top 24.
top 24. That's right. So there's 4 regions. I'm going to put a link in the chat if you guys are here for the live show for the World Cup page. So there's only one of them have concluded, and the other should be kicking off about the time this hits your podcast feed.
Actually, there's one going on this month. Well, let's go through the groups. There's 4 groups
Sure.
of 6 right now. The first one that just concluded had South Korea, Finland, Russia, Japan, Chinese Taipei, and Hong Kong. Of that group, we got South Korea and Finland moving through, unsurprisingly, since they're the 2 teams that have the most Overwatch League players in them. Actually, some of the other teams in this stage actually are pretty unknown. I haven't heard from them too much, at least in the competitive scene. Some of them might be contenders players. Some of them are just regular high ladder players. Anything you want to
Mm.
say about this group?
There are some, you want to go to this group and you want to click Japan and you want to click the I button and you want to look for the player named Depp. This is one of their strongest players on the Overwatch roster for DPS. And if you want to get some further information, Claire and Tayo are the support players for Cyclops Gaming, which is the contenders team in Asia Pacific for the top Japanese team.
Oh, very cool.
And Tayo and Claire played, I believe, both of them or one of them might have just been Tayo, played in the World Cup last year for the qualifiers when they dropped to Australia in a best of 5 match that went to game 5, and it was stinking close. It was a 99-99 flip on
Oh,
the map
nice.
3. So these guys did really well. I talked with Deathblow a little bit because I wasn't able to catch all of their games. I still actually want to go back and watch them. But I read a lot of the tweets from them, and they were all very, very disappointed in themselves. And I guess that they didn't realize that both the region that they play in, as well as the deficient between Overwatch League and contenders, was such a large jump for them.
I do
So
think that it's interesting to see that, right? Well, you gotta admit that Overwatch League players do have an advantage here because one, they've been playing at the highest competitive level the entire year consistently, right, and getting paid to do it. So
consistent practice too.
they're definitely at the best spot, and the support systems they had around them. They've had great coaches for the whole year leading up to the World Cup, and they have it fresh, right? Like Overwatch League just ended. A lot of these teams, like the South Korea team, are basically like New York Excelsior translated into the South Korean
Right.
team. So they already have a lot of practice under their wing. And it wasn't surprising for me. That being said, the other three groups are still ongoing. This weekend, we're going to have a very important group since the USA is part of it. Also, we have Canada, Austria, Brazil, Switzerland, and Norway to complete the group. In this group is sort of the same story. USA and Canada are looking really, really strong because the majority of their players are coming from Overwatch League. A lot of the coaches in these teams are coming from Overwatch League as well. In the USA team specifically, we're going to have Ruckus from the Houston Outlaws, Sleepy
My
from
boy.
Shock. We have Dante from Shock as well. Super, again from Shock. Sinatra from Shock. A lot of players from the San Francisco Shock. We have Muma from Outlaws as well. Moth, again, from San Francisco. And we have Space from Valiant and Hydration from Gladiators. So a lot of Overwatch League players in the USA team. A lot of them are really, really good players too. They perform quite well in Overwatch League. Some of them, or most of them, have gotten re-signed for the next season. So you
And
can definitely see.
if you're noticing some trends here, is that this is a larger than 6-man roster to cover their bases for how the meta may or may not develop in the coming months. There's also key players McGravy, Zachary, and Elk from the Zachary and McGravy from the flex spot, and Elk from the support slot with regards to Overwatch contender scene that are really top players, and also players that may end up coming into Overwatch League for season 2 with the new expansion teams we're going to get to here in a little bit. But there is way more players than you can play, and so it's really interesting that they put some of these things in play with like, for example, you don't run Raucous and Sleepy in the same time in most places unless you want to put two different guys that are really, really good at specific heroes and specific compositions or maybe synergies with the team, and you want to roll them out between maps.
Absolutely. And not only that, but we've seen like players get sick, they get tired,
That's
accidents
right.
happen. You can never control all of circumstances. So having that backup is incredibly useful. And I think that the teams that are bringing that 12-man roster or even, a few more are going to be in a better position. In this team, most of them are bringing, or in this group, most of them are bringing 12 people, except for Brazil, who is bringing 7. High expectations from some people from Brazil. They want to see them perform well. I don't think we've had our first Latin team that has, kind of like broken into that highest tier.
If
So it'd be interesting for them to do it.
if there's any if there's any interest in making sure that Overwatch can make it to have a investor from Brazil have some kind of investment opportunity to showcase the interest, to showcase the talent coming from Brazil, I feel like this World Cup is a really big move for investors, and not and it's one of those things where that Brazil has to earn it. Like, they're not going into an
Absolutely.
easy group. They're going into Canada. They're going into the United States. I mean, we're having CarQ on the show. He's not going into being a community lead for this team. to help them. And Jane from assistant coach for or head coach of this team, assistant coach for that roster, is not going into this with
Blind.
not like pulling in and like out all the cards.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like
It's going
like
all
these
out.
guys are
They're
going
going
in
all
to win
out.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
feel that way so much more than last year, because I felt like last year it was like I felt like Sweden was kind of pulling out more punches. Canada was kind of coming up a little bit more in their game, but like I really felt like the US team and the Korean team were like major practice sessions to get these going and to
Oh
win.
yeah, you could definitely see in the team play that South Korea and US were a little bit ahead of the other
Mm,
teams in the past World Cup. Unfortunately, they faced off each other before the finals, so they had to had one winner. I think that would have
right.
been the finals otherwise, though. But yeah, this team also looking, or this group also looking really good. As far as the other two groups go, on our third group, we have China, Thailand, Australia, Spain, Sweden, and Denmark. Sweden looking as one of the strongest teams in this group, having a lot of the players from Florida Mayhem and a couple other players from Overwatch League. The other teams, a few of them have players like Spain has a few players from Overwatch League, Harry Hook, Doc, and Neptuno. Um, China has one player from Overwatch League, and Thailand has Mickey actually from Overwatch League, so he'll be a great influence for that team. Sweden looking pretty strong. Aside from that, I don't have much background in some of the other teams. Costa will be playing for Australia too, which is nice.
I'm really interested to see the kind of more of the mid matches here. And what I mean by that is like obviously Australia is going to be uh, let me put it this way. I feel like Sweden is kind of your shoe-in team here. They're very dominant in this group, from what we've seen. But last year we saw Denmark pulling some big punches in their series. We saw Thailand with Mickey just having like a few times where they just showed some insane glimmers in team fights and map wins. And then obviously having Custa in your back line, shot calling your whole team to victory in Australia, put up some pretty big numbers and almost lost again to Japan last year. And then you have China, which is coming back out, and they're saying, look, we're not just Shanghai. You know what I mean? Like maybe this is to showcase the three new teams that they're also bringing in from the Shanghai Dragons. You're also seeing that, ironically or unironically, depending on how you take this entire roster has one player from the Shanghai Dragons. One. And that's Sky in their support.
Well, now
So
that the league is over, Shanghai Dragons have actually released like 80% of their roster,
they've kept
including
three
coaches.
players.
Yeah, so that team is gonna be remade. It's no longer the team that we had previously, and I'm glad. I'm glad about it. We talked about it in the Overwatch League recap, because they
And
needed
I
it.
know that we're not an Overwatch League recap show, but keep it this in mind, guys. I'm not a part of that show. I don't get to talk about it very often. Okay, so
That's
let me
true.
loose every
This
once in
is
a while. Okay, we gotta
this
open
is your
the
this is your
door.
outlet right here. Um, for the last group, we have United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, Netherlands, Italy, and France. France looking like the strongest contender, having Poco, Unco, AKM, and soon some powerhouses of the Overwatch League, especially Poco and Soon have been players that have proven over and over they're at the top of their league.
This team looks terrifying. I'm gonna be very honest. This team looks very scary.
France is
And
looking really good, yeah.
also notably, looking at Germany, I don't see any of these teammates that are from Overwatch League. I think all of these are contenders and open division players,
I believe so.
which will be very interesting to see because Germany has historically not been a pushover. And Poland also was pulling a couple pretty big games last year when they fought off against Denmark, which I mentioned previously. They had some crazy games against Denmark last year. So I'm really excited to see just how well Poland stands up in the competition here. I know that our friends over at Overwatch Central are going to be pulling for United Kingdom. with Cruz and Smex and Boombox pulling in lots of stuff there, and Kib. They have a pretty good roster in UK. Let's look at what we got with Netherlands. Netherlands is running. Wow, this is a lot of contenders players. Yeah, yeah, I think Netherlands has got a pretty good shot. I feel like all of these teams are right around what you can anticipate, but it's going to dictate who ends up getting, who ends up being able to take down United Kingdom. Because if you can beat United Kingdom and you can do it a couple more times than the rest of them and not lose to anybody else, then you're pretty much a shoo-in for second place. So you basically have to beat United Kingdom and then you can get up there, or you can surprise and get a couple maps or maybe even a full map win or game win against France. It's going to be hard to see if France drops a map or drops a game even, because they're just so strong. What do you think, Anders?
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty contested. I see France maybe moving up pretty handily just because of the power of their team. But the second spot, I don't know if we have mentioned it, but two teams from each group will be advancing to the next stage.
That's
Um,
right.
so it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes down. Honestly, I think France definitely has a good chance. Germany has a good chance. Netherlands has a good chance. I've seen some good players from Italy, although historically Italy hasn't been the strongest in Overwatch competitive. So I don't know. We'll see.
I just really like how this group is less about, United Kingdom being not as strong and more about kind of how the other regions have kind of come up and stepped up within contenders
Hmm.
over this last year, and good play and just really strong performances last year. So I'm really encouraged that way just by seeing Overwatch in different regions.
Yeah, talking about
That being
different
said,
regions. All of these group stages are going to be held in different parts of the world. It's really, really cool. We're going to be having games, or we had games in Incheon, Korea. That's where how do you pronounce that? Incheon? No, I feel like
Incheon.
Incheon. Yeah, South Korea. That's where they held the first group. Then Los Angeles is going to be this weekend. We have Bangkok, Thailand for our next group, and Paris for the last one. So very diverse locations. They all look really nice.
I'm really interested to see who ends up going to BlizzCon, because if they do make it, then we can start really theory crafting what's going to happen in the group stages, because now it's no longer you play everybody and see who has the best win. It's more of, if you win, you're in. If you lose, you're out. And this is the situation that the United States found themselves in against South Korea, like Andres said at the top of this discussion, where one of the craziest games and one of the most exciting games of the whole series was in the quarterfinals in the group. It wasn't in, the finals,
Yeah, once they get
unfortunately.
to the top eight, that's where BlizzCon is gonna be happening, like the actual, live matches for everyone to see. That's gonna be single elimination. So once you're there, everything's on the line. Every game is the last game. So it gets really, really tough. We did mention that we were there last year, and it was quite an amazing experience getting to experience the World Cup live. I know that a lot of you will be there as well, and we just kind of wanted to talk about our experience watching that World Cup as well. I will say most of the matches have plenty of space. You'll have ample time to just walk in, find some room. The venue last time was really, really nice. If it's gonna be the same one, I'm sure that will have no problems. It's like a round 360 view. It's very easy to see from anywhere you're sitting actually, even if you end up in the corners of the screen.
The
Um
nosebleeds actually have great seats, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, like the very top is actually quite nice to look at the screens. I will say though, once it gets to the finals, get there early. Once we're playing the semifinal and the final, that stadium
They weren't even
fills up
letting
like
people with media
crazy.
passes in. It
Yeah,
was
it's like
that
nobody
busy.
nobody gets in past a certain time. So if you're attending and you want to catch the finals, make sure you get there early because there's gonna be a lot of people, and it's free access. So once you're in BlizzCon, you have the ticket for it, so it fills
Right.
up quite quick.
And the other thing you're going to be aware of in this is that there are, at BlizzCon, there are always things you're missing. And don't forget your virtual ticket will help bail you out, but make sure that if there is something there that is not pure news related content, like, I don't know, a panel, like a question and answer panel, voice actors that you want to go see, meet and greets you want to be a part of, you want to go meet, do a meetup with your creators, you want to watch certain things live, like a game or an esports, this is the time to go do it. But there's also lots of super hype stuff that are those news panels, like, hey, Moira is being released, here's the update, here's this. And so luckily, the last section of BlizzCon, the last day, ends up being very hyper focused on esports, and so Andres and I were really thankful about that. We were able to go kind of focus a little more on that aspect of it the second day and the community aspect, whereas the first day was like, here's the event, here's all of the announcements at the beginning of the day. You have 20 minutes, and then we're gonna do panel for all of our games. So you can go into Warcraft Classic, and then it was, I don't even remember, it was like Hearthstone, Overwatch, Heroes of the Storm, and Andres and I were like, okay, so we look at the schedule and we only try to find the things that are relevant for our show. And I was going for 2 shows for Velens, for my Hearthstone show. So I'm trying to make some Hearthstone related content, and it was a nightmare to cover more than one game. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
Uh,
keep in mind travel times while you're there take quite a bit of time. There's a lot of people, and from point A to point B, a lot of things can happen. You will run into so many people and cool cosplay and more events. Like getting sidetracked in BlizzCon is very easy. So I will say try to plan accordingly, especially towards the last events. And another tip I want to give you is if you want to get an Overwatch t-shirt, like a new USA World Cup t-shirt, get it early. Those things sell out like hotcakes. By the time I got to them, it was the first day, still in the morning. By the time I got to make the line, they were out of smalls. They were out of larges. No, they were out of mediums and larges. I had to get a small and can just tightly fit in there.
Snug into it.
Yeah. But I represent it.
Yeah, and the new jerseys just got revealed for United States this week, and they look nice. I'm definitely going to be deeply considering getting one. I'm not sure if I'm going to get one this year because I don't know if you guys realize this, but my plane ticket costs more than most of y'all's experiences to go to BlizzCon. So we'll see how that goes. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll just slap it on the credit card. We'll see. But I'm not going to be buying nearly as much extra stuff as I was last year. That being said, if you guys are going to BlizzCon, please let us know. We have an exclusive role in the Discord that we're going to be giving to people who are planning to attend so that they don't get all of our spam to everyone else. We can see stuff for meetup related things. I know that there are a few things that we're trying to plan in addition to just meeting up with friends. We're trying to do some kind of meetups with other people that we're trying to network with as well. So just keep that in mind if you can't find us. Something different that we're going to be doing that I saw a really talented creator. Shout out to Pat Crane, who did this for Convert to Raid, which is a kind of a general Blizzard gaming podcast. He kind of just did a more of a, instead of collecting all the information and stuff, it was more of a my experience at BlizzCon. It's kind of like his recording and finding all these other creators and interviewing them on the spot right after things happen. So I think Andres and I are going to be doing something like that. And I had talked with Bobby actually about this today, where I feel like some of you guys might be interested in what it's like coming to BlizzCon from international, which is a whole experience in and of itself. And kind of just wondering what the step-by-step process is kind of freaky at certain points and like super nerve-wracking at others, and then like just really easy at others. But kind of like seeing the whole energy level kind of dive and then kind of like pick back up with adrenaline and then just crash. That was my experience last year, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's
So
full speed while you're over there. That's for sure.
I'm
And
just
yeah,
hoping I get enough adrenaline to last
oh,
me
I'm
through.
I'm I'm sure once you hit the floor and you see all the events running and stuff, like it'll be like instinct, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, if you guys are gonna be at the event at BlizzCon itself, make sure to hit us up through the Discord is the best way to do it. We communicate a lot through the Discord. Last year we had a nice little posse where everyone would kind of like go do their things, but then meet up after the events to get some dinner or just hang out at the venue for the World Cup. We had like this full section where everyone kind of like would sit together and be all hype together. So if you want some people to hang out with and have like a group to chill, make sure to hit us up through the Discord if you're gonna be there. We'd love being part of the community and having everyone come together that listens to the show. I know that it can be such an overwhelming experience over there, so having that home group is always really really nice. So keep that in mind.
All right, guys. If we're again unapologetically apologizing, I guess you could say, for just lack of strategic content this week, but we're going to be getting back into a full swing. So buckle up your seatbelts. Coming up soon. As with anything, you have to keep in mind there is no major content updates right now at this time that we can discuss. And if you go through your Reddits and you look through Overwatch, you look through competitive Overwatch, you look through Overwatch contenders, that's like all people are talking about is contenders and World Cup and just highlight posts from people joining new teams in Overwatch League and new Overwatch League teams. So with that, we're just going to close with Overwatch League teams coming in. There's new teams. There's 8 of them. 8. That is 2 more than they were predicting in the first place, because they were saying that they were going to get like 4 to 6, and at the upper number, they're actually getting 2 more than that.
Yeah, they end up being quite a bit.
So when they also released this, we also know that we got a Diva trailer, which we had not mentioned on the show yet. And in that Diva trailer, they also paired it with a Diva promotion. So there's a new Diva skin that you guys can go chase through the streamer stuff. You have to go check your Battle.net launcher, check the Overwatch Twitter. They have links to how you can get that new skin for Diva. And last up is there's a new map located in Korea named Busan, or Busan, depending on if you're pronouncing it right or wrong, I guess. But the new map looks amazing. It is a control point map, and it has some really crazy setups and approaches, and they've reduced a lot of the positions on health packs, and we don't know when it's going to go live yet, but I believe it's going to be on the PTR right now, and you guys can go check it out. Run in there, pick Farah, try to boost up, and see if you can land on the tram, because you can land on it and not die, but you can get hit by it and still die. So that's a really
nice.
interesting feature of this new map in one of the 3 control zones.
It's a really cool map. I would say aesthetically, it's very pleasing to the eye.
It's super cool, and I think one of the loading in zones is a PC bang with DDR, and you can actually play DDR in the hero selection area.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It's pretty cool.
So yeah, I'm really excited about the strategic stuff for this one because of the high grounds and the breakdowns, and Blizzard kind of thinking about moving health packs around so they're a lot more scarce, makes the fights last a lot less long, which is nice. And also sightlines is always a big thing, so I'm curious to see how sightlines and approaches affect players that are playing Ana, because that's what I play, and Zen as well, and places that you can bounce off with Lucio for maneuverability. But the new teams in Overwatch League that were announced this week and officially announced by Overwatch itself is, let me see if I can pull it up here. I've been stalling for time for too long and I can't find it. Okay, it is Atlanta in the United States, East Coast, Washington, D.C., East Coast, Toronto, Ontario, East Coast, Canada, and Vancouver, West Coast, British Columbia, Canada. Then we have Paris, France, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Chengdu, and all 3 of those are in China.
Yeah, so surprisingly, 3 Chinese teams that we're getting. It seems like there's a lot of interest from that region to invest. They saw some potential there, I guess, and Blizzard was able to connect the dots. So we'll be getting a lot of teams from that region. I believe there was rumored to be another South Korean team in the works, but it ended up falling through towards the end. I think that they couldn't finalize the deal. I'm very excited about Atlanta, though, representing my state over here. So that's gonna be really exciting. I'll definitely be rooting for them this season. And yeah, just exciting that so many teams are joining the league. It's gonna definitely shake things up. A lot of the teams have let go of their, our last episode in Overwatch League recap was called "Trimming the Fat" because that's basically what they're doing. A lot of these teams are
Mm.
letting go of the players that they didn't quite use throughout the season or were not a good fit for the team. And with all these new teams coming in, there's gonna be influx of new players. A lot of them probably coming from contenders. A lot of them being re-signed from previous Overwatch League teams. So big mix up, and I can't wait to see how things end up panning out.
There's also something interesting that you guys might be wondering about, which is why teams haven't been picking up new players from the free agency. And I can help you with that because they're not allowed. So basically, what happened initially is that Overwatch League have their extensions or their trades with their affiliate contenders teams starting in August 1st. Okay, so right now it is August 7th or August 8th as we're recording, depending on which area of the globe you're from. And until the 9th of September, the Overwatch League teams can only trade within each other's teams and re sign players. They cannot sign players from anywhere else other than their Overwatch League Overwatch contenders teams that they're affiliated with, or their current roster players, or they can do trades with, right? Now, if they didn't do a trade and they didn't get picked up, then they go to the free agency, which is you're seeing releases or maneuvering people into like leadership roles like assistant coach or analyst or something like that. But now that it's September 9th, Overwatch Season 1 contracts are now over, thus making sure that anybody's contract is over is now a free agent. And then the extension team, so these teams here that you see, the final 8 new teams, Atlanta, Washington, Toronto, Vancouver, Paris, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, and Chengdu, all of these teams now have exclusive rights to pickings within the free agency pool and unsigned contenders players and open division players. They can
Hmm.
sign anybody they want in an exclusive window until you get to October 8th. So they have basically 1 month, exactly 1 month.
Nice.
And then on the 7th, all bets are off. The 8th kicks off, and then all Overwatch League teams can have access to the rest of the free agency. And I believe there's also an additional rule that I forgot about that is all Overwatch League teams are required to have a minimum of 8 players. So you must have 8 rostered players and 2 that are sitting the bench. And there's also some kind of swinger rule where players can swing from Overwatch League to contenders back and forth. I don't know what they're called, like plus players or something. It's a new rule that I don't really know I'm not very familiar with, but it's something that you're going to be hearing a lot on Overwatch League podcast, and Andres is sure to cover it.
Yeah, it allows them you to fill in. Like main rosters can send players to their contenders teams, I believe.
Yeah. And by the way, that window between October 8th and BlizzCon is only about like 3.5. Well, I guess it would be 4 weeks because it's Friday, but yeah. So like 4 weeks after that, then BlizzCon. So there's a whole lot of movements and trades and things going on for your calendar, and so your podcasters will be very busy with Overwatch League content the next couple months and talking about that. So keep it posted and keep downloading. I'm still a little disappointed we don't have anything in Tokyo, but that's probably because, Japanese investors are not very keen on this market right now, apparently,
Well,
as with most players in the EU.
they usually haven't been known to invest internationally like that, right? Especially on an American company. They're usually reserved for those things. They would rather invest in house, I believe.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the Cyclops team that is really big in contenders have enough budgetary movement to kind of jump in, but I feel like the Japanese market is going to be every year that they wait, they're going to be less and less likely to get in. So we'll see. I'm hoping that maybe somebody else will do it, but as with anything that we've seen, the Asia specific teams and the EU teams have a hard time with not choosing players that are all of the same tongue, if that makes sense. Chinese players choose the Chinese players, the Japanese players choose, or Japanese teams choose the Japanese players,
I
Korean
mean,
teams choose the Korean players.
it does make sense though, because we've seen it happen in the Overwatch League. Some of the teams that had like the mixed players had a lot of communication problems, and it didn't end up working out for a lot of them. Actually, a lot of the, for example, Korean players that ended up playing with a lot of American or European players and were forced to learn English on the spot and try to communicate better with that, they struggled quite a bit. A lot of them didn't end up working out either. So I think that there is something to say about being able to easily and fluently communicate without having to think too much about it. Because in Overwatch, you're already having to put so much attention into how you're playing and into the game that if you have to think about how you say things while you're trying to do all of that, it doesn't quite work out. That being
It's
said,
really,
though,
really difficult.
I think we've covered all the stuff from the World Cup that we want to cover. This show is a little more short and sweet. Sorry about that, guys. Normally we come up with a strategy full swing, but like we said, some of our guest plans fell through for today. So I hopefully you guys enjoy this little primer on the Overwatch World Cup and what's gonna be happening, what stages they're at right now, and how we're gonna be doing while we're over there. So thank you.
If you have any other questions, please submit them into the podcast questions Discord channel in discord.me/Omnic Lab. You type that into your browser, it'll launch you into Discord and give you a free invite link. If you need an invite link, you can also check our Twitter and our website. But you can submit questions for the CarQ interview using the keyword Anna, or you can submit questions for the interview with Jinx about Brigitte using the keyword Brigitte. And we'll see you guys next week talking with Jinx. We have a few things to promote here, so we have a few people to thank. We have our sponsors on patreon.com/Omnic Lab helping us make it to BlizzCon, make it to Contenders games, or not Contenders games, sorry, the World Cup games, and also just anything that we do on Omnic Lab is way easier because of these people. We have Ben K, Britmus, Krista Player, Durandal, Jan Jingle, Lissum, Mr. Mars, Roger B, Ricky Tiki, Shazir, Terry F, Tragic Zach, Top Score Solutions, and brand new patron this month, Tim W. at the Patreon's diamond level. If you guys want to support us, please consider doing that. It helps us out with keeping our equipment maintained. If they are dying or things are breaking, helps us keep the lights on with the website and our streaming services. If you guys also want to support us that monetarily, you can also consider using your Amazon Prime sub on twitch.tv/OmnicLab. We stream every time we do the show. It's there. It's also on YouTube. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can watch us there. Yeah, that's basically it. If you want to find any other links, where to find us, I really hate like blitzing this every week. Just go to the website omniclab.com/links. You can find everything there. Andres, where can people find you on the interwebs? And I'll recap if they want to know more about Overwatch League and Overwatch World Cup.
If you want to personally find me, you can always look me up on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. And like Rob said, you can also find me talking over at the Overwatch League recap with Bob and Mel. You can also find that on iTunes and all the same places where you would find Omnic Lab.
You want to find me? I'm on Twitter and Instagram with the tag NotRob. You can follow Velen's Chosen at velenschosen.com if you like Hearthstone. We had a really good interview with a Fade to Karma esports streamer named Fade to Karma Pear. She was wonderful. And I believe we're working on getting another one of her teammates on the show in the future. We got D&D stuff going on my Concept Craft podcast every month with my wife. And a fun fact, I'm actually starting a raid group within the AIE network, aka the Instance Podcasts World of Warcraft Guild. I am setting up an Asia Pacific time zone friendly raid group once a week on Mondays. You can check that out. More details on my Twitter and in the raid group stuff.
Thanks
again for tuning in to the episode 117. I am so excited, incredibly excited to meet Jinx because the meme-worthy conversation that we had with planning his session was hysterical. And that is just for me. You're not getting any of that info. That's just for me. That's really fun stuff.
Private
But
memes.
it was literally every other sentence was a meme, and I loved it. So we'll see you guys. It'll be a fun show, and it will also be informative. We'll see you guys next week. Don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. Bye.
By the way, shout out to Spandex Man with the Twitch Prime. Thank you so much, man. Bye, Jonakek. Bye, Clutch. Thanks for coming.
I have nothing more to teach you. The rest